Hello, good afternoon everyone. How are you all? Yeah, welcome back to today's session. So all of you have had a nice lunch? Good, good. So we are back with our grammar classes, and I know that today you have a test. So today this topic is included in the test, so please take your pen, pencil, paper, book, whatever, and write down the important points. I'm sure you've already done this direct, indirect speech 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. And this is one of the easiest things in the grammar, okay, in English grammar. So there's not much, but there is something, it's a little tricky sometimes, because you should know what type of sentence it is. Suppose I say directly, please can I have a glass of water? You cannot say in the indirect speech, she said please she could have a glass of water. What you will have to say, because when I use please, that's a request, right? So you'll have to probably say she requested for a glass of water, right? Those little things you have to learn. So yeah, so let's get right into it. Let's look at what's the difference between direct and indirect speech. Indirect speech is also sometimes called the reported speech. And I'm K. Shailaja Rao, by the way. So, why do you need to learn indirect speech? Because you cannot all the time be present somewhere, right? So whenever you hear something and then you have to report it to somebody else, or you have to pass on the information to somebody else, you have to speak in the third person. That is, you have to give it in the reported form. So that is called the indirect speech, when you're directly not listening to the dialogue that has been presented, right? Then it's called indirect speech. So when something being repeated exactly as it was, sometimes you like to repeat something exactly as it was, then it's called direct speech. It's like, I'll come home by 10 p.m. So whenever you're putting something in the direct speech, the best way to tell somebody, or to, especially in the written form, this is only present in the written form, okay? You generally do not say direct speech, indirect speech in the oral form. Generally in the written form, whenever you put, reporting something directly, you have to put it within inverted commas. Inverted commas means you are presenting it as you heard it. Generally we do this while writing definitions or quotes. Why? Because those are the words said by some great person or some intelligent person, some intellectual, and you should not be changing any of the words. So generally most quotes are put in inverted commas and the author's name is mentioned below, right? And most definitions also are put in inverted commas, so that, but there nothing should change, not even a comma should change. So whenever you put something in inverted commas, it means, so this symbol, you see some people doing this all the time. So this, when somebody does it, it means inverted commas. Remember that. You know, a lot of speakers use this. Somebody said, Mark Twain said, and then they will say, when they say do this, it means those words are within the commas, okay? Remember that sign. So I will call you tomorrow. He said that he would call me. See, it's not the same thing. He said that he would call me the next day, not tomorrow. Because when the caller said tomorrow, he could be reporting it immediately that same day, or he could be reporting it the next day. So you never know. So that is why there are some rules for reported speech. That's what we'll see here today. So what is indirect speech? The same thing. Whatever was said is said in the same information is passed, but it involves reporting, describing what was said. For example, she said to me that she would come home by 10 p.m. In the earlier slide we saw, she told me I'll come home by 10 p.m., right? That's exactly as it was told. But here she said to me that she would be coming home by 10 p.m. or that she would come home by 10 p.m. Here, did you notice there are no inverted commas? So this is in reported speech or indirect speech. So when do you use direct speech? Something when you express something that is happening presently at the moment or feel like it is happening right now, you use direct speech. Like for example, while she's on the phone, she was saying to him, I'm never going to talk to you again. So while she was on the phone, she was saying to him, you're reporting something that you want to report something that exactly happened, or you want to report exactly as it happened. When you're doing that, you use direct speech. While she was on the phone, you want to explain that while she was on the phone, she was saying to him that I'll never want to talk to you again. So direct speech reports what someone has said or written by quoting their exact words. Like I said, exact words, not even a comma here or there, not a and, nothing should be changed. And amazing man is here to save the day, declared amazing man, whatever. So what is indirect speech again? It is like use exactly the same words but in an indirect way. What someone said without using exactly the same words. Like we were quite cold in here. They said they were cold in there. They said they're cold. Or if you can in here, so there. Also you could add, but you can, even this gives the same meaning. They said they were cold. She said, I'm painting. She said that she was painting. So the switch. So when we report that something is happening, we normally change the tense. We generally do not change the tense. We just change the subject. Remember that. The tense does not change. Whichever tense is in the direct speech should be there in the indirect speech, should be there in the reported speech. The tense will not change, only the subject changes. Like when we report things in the past, we usually change the tense by moving it one step back. Remember that. Like direct speech, I have a new car. If it is going to indirect speech, you generally go one step back in the sense that I have a new car. She said it some time ago, right? When you're reporting it to someone, you have to go one step back. You probably will have to say, you'll have to report in past tense. She said that she had a new car. He said that he had a new car. So generally in reported speech, the tense goes one step back. In the direct speech, it's the same tense. All the other tenses follow a similar change. Here are some more examples. Like direct speech, she said, I can swim. But what could be the past tense of I can swim? She said that she could swim. Can becomes could. One step behind. I must go. He said or she said that she had to go. Must becomes had. I may drive there. She said that she might drive there. Shall we start? She asked if we should start. She said, I'll call you. I will call you. She said that she would call me. See how direct speech is all the tenses are in the present and they go into the past tense in the indirect speech. Just think that this is happening now and this is happening a little later. So what happens is, because reported speech happens after the direct speech, right? That's why it goes one step backward or it goes into the past tense. Using say or tell. This is a very good point. We have to, generally she said she was coming, right? And sometimes she told she was coming. Which one is correct? Do you use say or do we use tell? Let's see what you do. Say is used as an alternative to tell. Say and tell, sometimes both can be exchanged or interchanged. in the reported stage. But in the case, you need to add the subject object pronoun. For example, he told me he was going to call Alan. He said he was going to call Alan. Okay? He said he was going to call Alan. This, when the word tell or told comes, this part is added. He told me he was going to call Alan. The same thing if you use say, he said he was going to call Alan. They told her they would arrive a little late. They said they would arrive late. Okay? They told her. So there is an object pronoun is added when you say tell or told. You told us you'd already finished the order. You said you'd finished the order. You told us. So remember, whenever you use say, tell or told instead of say, you have to add the object pronoun. Similarly, I am seeing my brother tomorrow. When we are talking to some time, past or future, okay, how do we do it in indirect speech? When somebody is speaking directly, I'm going to come tomorrow. When this is being reported to somebody else, how do you change the words? How do you report these words? Let's see with examples. I'm seeing my brother tomorrow. If I go back and tell somebody the next day that I'm going to see my brother tomorrow, it will not be right. So you probably have, she said she was seeing her brother the following day. Okay, tomorrow could be the following day or the next day. Okay, tomorrow could be the next day or the following day. Similarly, I had a headache yesterday. You said you had a headache the day before yesterday. See, one step back here also. You said you had a headache the day before yesterday. It's been raining since this afternoon. It was raining since this, it was raining yesterday, right? It was raining this afternoon. He said that it had been raining since that afternoon. I haven't seen him since last week. So she said that she hadn't seen him since the previous week. Okay? Last week becomes previous. Yesterday becomes the day before, tomorrow becomes the next day or the following day, and this afternoon becomes that afternoon. So how, there are two ways to use the reported speech. We all know that, direct and indirect, right? So direct speech, I'm very busy, and how would you use that? Such words are placed between, whatever you're quoting someone is called direct speech. When you're repeating something, it's called indirect speech. So what are the characteristics of direct speech? It is original quotation. Okay, that's why quotations, definitions, all these, some great leaders or authors, orators give some words. Give some, Kennedy said, ask not what you can do, ask not what the country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. So this is a great quotation. Always this is put in quotes. Oh, what happened? What happened? Okay. It is an original quotation. It is always placed between two quotations and is always preceded by a capital letter. Did you notice whenever it starts, whenever direct speech starts, the first letter is always capital. Okay? Wherever you go, even if you go back, I'll just go back. Everywhere it's I, so I is always in a capital. Oh, see here. It's been raining. I is always in capital. Even when it starts without an I, it starts with a capital letter. I is generally always, remember this is one important thing. I, wherever you write I, whether it's in the middle of a sentence, end of a sentence, beginning of a sentence, you have to write it in a capital letter. Okay, this is one big mistake a lot of you make, especially I see a lot of leave letters, you know. I am Suresh Kumar studying in this class, and they'll put I a small letter, or beginning they will start with I, proper I, somewhere I am suffering from fever will be in small I. So wherever I comes, it is in capital, remember that. So what are the characteristics of indirect speech? We do not use the exact words, and we need to change the pronouns and the verb forms also, verb and tense. Verb tenses have to be changed, okay, and we don't use speech marks. We don't put it in inverted commas. So how do you change the pronouns? We saw that we have to use object pronouns when you are using say, tell, and sometimes you have to use pronouns. So how does pronouns change? How does it change? Subject pronouns, how does it change? I will come tomorrow. Suppose I will come tomorrow. When somebody is if I say I will come tomorrow, when somebody else is reporting that, how will they say it? She said she will come the next day, right? She said she will come the next day. She said is common. She, instead of I will come tomorrow, it will be she will come, tomorrow will become the next day. Similarly, you bring that. She asked her to bring that, okay? Or we went to the market. She said that they went to the market, right? That's how it changes into indirect speech. Similarly, me becomes him, her. You, depending on whether it's male, female, you becomes him, her, us, them, and us becomes them, object pronouns. Possessive adjectives. My car is red. Suppose I say my car is red. If it is going to reported speech, how will you say it? She said that her car was red, right? Is becomes was, my becomes her. Okay? Your. Your bag is lying there. Okay? She said his bag was lying there. Okay? Our money is stolen. Our money is stolen. Somebody says our money is stolen. They said that their money is becomes was stolen. Right? That's how you change it. Mine, possessive pronouns. Yours, ours. Mine becomes his, hers. Yours become mine, hers, ours, theirs. And ours becomes theirs. This becomes that. We lived in this house. When it goes to reported speech, she said that they lived in that house. Similarly, these are my apples. She said that those were her apples. Similarly, remember this. You know, this is very important. This becomes that. This day becomes that day. You can note these down. Very important. Because in the flow of things, you might forget. So if you have these written down, it's very easy to remember. This becomes that. This day becomes that day. These becomes those. These days becomes those days. Here, there, now, then, today, that day. I want to have coffee today. Okay, if I say I want to have coffee today, if somebody is reporting it the next day, she said she wanted to have coffee that day, not today. Tomorrow will not be today, right? So she wanted to have coffee that day. Yesterday becomes the day before. And similarly, tomorrow becomes the following day or the next day. At the moment is at the moment. Last night, it's the night before. Last year becomes the year before. Next year becomes the following year. Tonight becomes that night, and ago becomes before or earlier. So today, tomorrow, yesterday, today we already saw that day, yesterday, or especially on Wednesday. If they mention some day, exactly the same day. Tomorrow, next day, following day, yesterday, the day before, the previous day. You can even say the previous day. Instead of saying the day before, the previous day would be more correct in some cases. Next month becomes the month after, or the following month, the previous month, or last year becomes the previous year or the year before. A week ago becomes a week before or a week earlier. You already saw all these. So before we go to the next one, before we go to these types of sentences, let's watch this video.
Hi everyone, I'm Arnell, and today we're going to look at reported speech, also called indirect speech. Same thing. If we really want to understand this grammar, we need to look at direct speech, backshifting,
Okay, so that was very good, right? And I'm sure all of you understood that very clearly. She was nice and slow and was explained very well. Golden. She said that she's money is golden. There's nothing like she's. Is she's a pronoun? Look at your pronouns. Her money was golden. She said that her money was golden. Okay? So now we just looked at some sentences. Imperative sentences are orders or commands. Interrogative sentences are questions. And of course you have the exclamatory simple sentences. Okay? And then you have the exclamatory. So, being two kinds of interrogative sentences, those which start with a helping verb, is or are. Is she hungry? Are you hungry? Those which start with a question, what, why, when, where, and how. We just saw that. And then interrogative sentences which begin with a helping verb. And by how and when they change, you change by using the connective or, if, or whether. We already saw those examples, but we'll see a few more now. So, are you coming with us? So, this is a question. This is an interrogative question, a question or a sentence. So, are you coming with us? So, how do you change it into reported speech? She asked me. Whenever it's a question, whenever you see a question mark at the end of a sentence, you can always say she asked, or he asked, or they asked. So you know that it's a question, so somebody is asking for something, for some answer to that question. So she asked me. You becomes me. She said to me, same me, if I was going with them, are you coming? If, remember the connecting if or whether. Whether I was going with you becomes I was going with them. Us becomes them. Okay, and do you notice there is no question mark at the end? For whenever you change them into indirect speech, you don't need to put a question mark. Similarly, the helping verbs should, could, would, ought to, and might do not change in the indirect sentence. I should probably leave tomorrow. He said that he should probably leave the next day. Models. Should, would, will becomes would, and must do not change, or they might change in some cases only, like we saw. She said to me, interrogative, are you unwell? And she asked me if I was unwell. There is no question mark. And said becomes asked. Whenever there is a question mark, asked, and there is no question mark, remember. I said to him, were you present at the meeting yesterday? I asked him, here, do you notice the if? Here it is whether. I asked him, if is also correct, whether, were you present? It goes one step back. Had he been, whether he had been present at the meeting the day before or the previous day. Yes, also been the previous day or the day before. The woman said to the stranger, should I help you? The woman asked the stranger whether she should help me. Like should, could, will not change, right? So should she help him? I said to him, where are you? I asked him, oh, not where, who are you? Who he was. If it is where are you, where he was. Similarly, imperative sentences are commands or orders or forbidding or request or advice or suggestion. Okay? So orders is like he said to him, open the door. He ordered him to open the door. They said to him, do not tell a lie. they said to him not to tell a lie, or they forbade him to tell a lie. Okay? Are you unwell? Interrogative sentences. We're going back. Okay. Request. How does it change? She said to me, please help me. She requested me to help him. He said to me. So he requested me to help him. Whenever there's please, you could use, you can predict that it's a request. Okay? And then advice or suggestion. The teacher said to the students, work hard. So it's a suggestion to the students or advice to the students. The teacher advised the students to work hard. Imperative sentence. Please lend me your pen. Who said? Jim. So Jim requested me to lend him my pen. Lend him my pen. The doctor said to the patient, quit smoking. The doctor, what did he say? It isn't very serious. Quit smoking. The doctor ordered or advised the patient to quit smoking. The officer said to the clerk, do it immediately. So the officer ordered the clerk to do it immediately. Exclamatory sentences. I said to the children, do not make a noise. Forbade the children. Don't mention his name. I forbade her to mention his name. So when do you use exclamatory sentence? Wow, what a beautiful girl. Or what a beautiful flower. Or, so sorrow, alas, I just missed the bus. Or regret, or surprise. So when you use these emotions in indirect speech, how do you use them? What? Oh, how? These are to express, wow, what a beautiful flower. She said she was surprised and said, what a beautiful flower. Or she was surprised and said, what a beautiful flower. Or she was surprised to see a beautiful flower. These are expressed in contempt, fu and sha. In indirect speech, hurrah, he exclaimed with joy. Alas, he exclaimed with sorrow. You don't put the exclamation marks. What, how, exclaimed with wonder. Let's look at the direct. She said how lovely the house is. She remarked that the house was very lovely. See, where is that? How lovely. How is whenever there's something is very nice, you say, how beautiful. So she said that it was very beautiful. What a strange idea, he said. He said that it was a strange idea. Mary said, how dreadful. Mary exclaimed that it was dreadful. Thank you. He thanked me. She said, welcome. She welcomed me. He said, happy Eid, he said. He wished me happy Eid. Let's go for a walk, she said. I said, I proposed that we should go for a walk. Or I suggested that we go for a walk. So assertive and declarative sentences are whenever there are facts and thoughts and opinions that end with a full stop are called assertive sentences. And imperative sentences, when it is a command, an order, advice, suggestion, request, they are all imperative sentences. Interrogative sentences are generally with questions which start with what, why, when, where, who, how, and is, are, those words, then they are interrogative sentences. Exclamatory sentences are when with wow, how amazing, what a lovely house. These are exclamatory sentences. And so you should be able to recognize them and use them in indirect speech correctly. I think with that we will end this direct-indirect speech, and I'm sure you've learned a lot today. I hope you'll remember all this, and you have to see that you do it correctly in your test That's going to follow right now after this class. So all the best to all of you. So keep learning and keep doing the good work. I hope you've noted it all down. Some said, do I put it in my classwork, homework? Doesn't matter which work you put it in, as long as you've got it in a book where you can go back and check whenever you need to revise. Okay? Don't write on slips of paper, that can be lost. Please take a book, write it in continuation. Like you put the date, put the topic and write down the points. Next class, whenever you have a grammar session, again put down the date, topic and the points, so that when you have the test, you can quickly go back and revise and score full marks. I've noticed that some of you are scoring full marks in grammar. It's very good, you're doing a good job. But even I'm giving you very simple questions so that you understand this correctly and do it well, and then later we will go into slightly more difficult questions. Okay? Then all the best, do well, see you all tomorrow, bye.